both of our parents grew up running their own company in front of us, and my mom started hers as a mother of three. Okay. So for us, I mean, I would say it was something we didn't ever look at with fear. It was kind of normalized within our family. We'd kind of embrace it versus challenge it. And a lot of time I think as entrepreneurs, a lot of people will challenge it, try to say negative about it to keep working for someone or stay in your lane a little bit. Whereas I think maybe we over-encourage, especially I think I might over-encourage Dan a little bit on some things. I think without those risks, that's what being an entrepreneur is about. It's taking those risks and then getting the rewards.
We've had success. I think one of the cool things about owning a brewery and a tap room is that we have customers we see every day, every week, every month. It's the relationships we've made with them. So trying to keep those people happy and just adding to those relationships. Also, we've been lucky enough to win some pretty significant awards within the brewing industry. So it's chasing that.
Right.
We're both pretty competitive. So it's, you get a little taste of that. And it's like, all right, now we're going to try and win these this year. And being named a top 20 brewery in the U.S., trying to not fall out of that top 20. Right. So it's just the competitive nature of chasing that as well.
These guys that have breweries that are producing, billion-dollar valuations are personally responding to these emails, wanting to succeed. Another brewery that he met flew out to help set up to teach cleaning processes, and that gentleman worked for another brewery that was gigantic. So, the thing that you look at in their industry is the amount of support that comes out to it. And so I'd say always embracing others and reaching out for support, even if you don't think anyone's going to answer. A lot of those times people will come and hope, because I think deep down most people want everyone to succeed.
Welcome back to another episode of When Life Gives You Lemons podcast. I'm Ty Davis, joined today by Dan and Eric Brouillette. Thank you guys for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Dan, you want to start by giving us a little bit about you guys' background?
Yeah, so Eric and I grew up in Sioux City, Iowa, just up the road, I-29, about 100 miles. And then, fast forward through life, we grew up there, both went to Iowa State. I'm 5 years older than him. He's 5 inches taller than me. We don't have to talk about that. But grew up in a family full of entrepreneurs. We both kind of do our own thing now. But back around 2019, decided to open a brewery. And that all started several years prior, and some might say decades prior, just due to enjoying beer in itself. 2011, I was living in New York City. Eric was living in probably Ames, Iowa.
Just on the tail.
Yep. We were back home visiting family for Thanksgiving. One of our family friends said, well, I know you guys like drinking beer. Do you know how to make it? And I had no idea. So went over to his house, learned how to make some beer, thought that was pretty fun. Bought a little homebrew kit, came back for Christmas, set it up in our parents' garage, made a couple beers, and that kind of became the hook, and we got addicted to that. So I was always kind of the one who was the science person making everything, and Eric always came in with a lot of honest opinions, sometimes too honest, not a lot of sugarcoating. And fast forward from there to about 2020, thought, early 2020, like pre-COVID, thought, let's open a brewery. Well, we all know what happened a couple months later. But with that, a space opened up here in Omaha, down in Little Bohemia. We grabbed the space, did months of rehab and remodeling and all that, as far as taking a building from the early 1900s and bringing it up to code for a brewery. And now we've been in business almost 4 years.
Nice. What kind of, I guess you kind of explained it a little bit, but can you go into more depth about what sparked your desire to be like an entrepreneur and start everything?
Yeah. I'll let Eric take the first bit of this.
Yeah. So I guess kind of looking at entrepreneurism in our family, both of our parents grew up running their own company in front of us, and my mom started hers as a mother of three. Okay. So for us, I would say it was something we didn't ever look at with fear. It was kind of normalized within our family. My dad ran his dad's body shop that was started back in the 50s. So for us, anytime anyone had one of us had an idea, we'd kind of embrace it versus challenge it. And a lot of time I think as entrepreneurs, a lot of people will challenge it, try to say negative about it to keep working for someone or stay in your lane a little bit. Whereas I think maybe we over encourage, especially I think I might over encourage Dan a little bit on some things, but I think without those risks, that's what being an entrepreneur is about. It's taking those risks and then getting the rewards, or at least the enjoyment of fulfilling that dream or idea.
Yeah, totally. And I think to piggyback on that, with risk, Eric nailed it, but it's one of those things where a lot of people get an idea and they run from it and think, oh, I don't know, it's going to be too hard.
Yeah.
And it's basically for us, we both have other businesses outside of the brewery as well. So it's kind of one of those things where you get an idea and it's like, well, this should be a business, so I'm just going to do it. Right. And you figure it out.
Was there ever like a history other than your uncle? Was it ever a history in your family with brewing? Or was it
no history in the beer world at all, other than our parents' friends showing us how to make beer that day. So yeah, that's kind of crazy now that you say that. And in fact, that's a lot of the questions when I went to sign a lease. Right. Oh, what brewery do you work at now? Well, I don't actually. I'm a photographer. I don't work at a brewery, and my brother works in the car industry. They're like, oh, so like, how do you know it's going to work? I'm like, because beer's good, and we know. I don't know. It'll work. We'll figure it out. And there's a lot of hiccups along the way, a lot of bumps in the road, but you just take them in stride and move on. So, yeah, that's funny you asked that because I haven't thought about that in a while as far as the lack of historical context or experience. And it's like, well, this is what I want to do, so I'm going to do it.
Well, can you take us through some of those hiccups and bumps in the road? I'm sure both of you guys have experienced quite a bit.
Yeah, well, some of the major ones come. This is another lack of experience, but me deciding to be the general contractor on a several $100,000 build out of a 100-year-old building, and I don't know anything about construction. So that was a major bump in the road. It was learning about HVAC and, plumbing and electrical and all these things, and along the way, and probably, getting 5 bids for jobs because the first bid asks you questions that you don't know the answer to. So then you use those questions for the second bid. You go Google them real quick, and then you ask the next contractor, these questions that you've just figured out in your car in between bids. So things like that come along the way. Obviously, as I said, we opened and got this idea right in 2020. Mm-hmm. So there was supply chain issues, both on the brewing side and the construction side. Getting equipment, just figuring out what you need with that lack of experience. So I would say most of those type of things, nothing too major, but definitely things that keep you up at night once in a while, and definitely have you questioning your own sanity once in a while as well.
Yeah, Eric, do you want to take us through some challenges that you've kind of seen?
I mean, starting the brewery, I think the worst challenge I would say was watching Dan go through the build-out phase, generally contracting himself. There was a moment he skipped over of having to rebuild a wall 4 inches further that was all fully finished, painted, drywalled, sanded, built out, and it was more than one wall. It was the walls of the bathroom.
Architectural code was not my specialty.
Yeah, and it was 4 inches, and so and the whole building was done and ready to go, and so they had to come in, rip out all the front walls, rebuild them to get everything to code. But I mean, outside of that, I think just the main thing I've learned in all of it is always trying to learn the lesson from whether you think something that happened to you is terrible or something great, because both of those will happen along your ride. And what do you learn from it? What can you apply it forward? Because anytime I had something bad happen, like you always, woe is me for a week or a day or whatever time allows. But then what can I do next from it? How can I move on from this and learn? And I think what's excelled really both of us is taking everything that's negative and making, learning positive, like sitting in your car after not knowing questions to, now I can sit through the next meeting, no questions, or having a business partner that you didn't get along with and breaking up and say, well, 9 out of 10 times you participated in some of that too. So you learned some things that maybe, don't act that way. Don't do that. I overreacted here, mistreated here. What should I do? And so a lot of those is just applying that to the future to make sure that you don't have those same mistakes.
Mm-hmm. Throughout this kind of long journey that you guys have been on, when is the time that a banking partner has helped you solve a problem?
early, probably 2023. We'd been open maybe a year and a half. And it was going so well as far as the beer sales, that we decided to expand. And with that comes shiny new equipment that has a shiny price tag. So, once we didn't have the cash flow being a new business, we were still paying off our original loan and working on that. So trying to have, expand on a loan, limited cash flow, limited working capital, and find someone who can partner with you to provide the funding you need to be able to see your vision, see kind of what you're doing and believe in it, and then lend you that money so you can make that expansion, even though it's pretty early on in the process. That's where Dayspring came in and really helped out. We worked with John Culliver. He was able to sit down with both of us, see what we were trying to do, figure out exactly what it was that we needed, and make it work. So it was great. We got all the equipment we needed. It's been headache-free, and we're just moving on up.
Yeah, other than like the shiny equipment and the price tags, what are some things that you need from a bank when kind of starting building a business?
You need a good relationship for one. You need them to understand what it is you're trying to do and not just look at a spreadsheet. So having someone come visit, see what you're doing, actually want to know what it is you're doing and understand what you need. I think that was the most important thing. For us, it was finding someone who, I wouldn't say take a risk, because there wasn't a lot of risk there when it comes down to it. We knew what's going to work and what's not. It was pretty well planned out, but just believe in what you're doing and provide you the capital you need to fulfill that next step.
Yeah. Eric, you hit on it earlier a little bit, but Dan, you might want to answer it kind of to what you think. Being in a background of entrepreneurs like both of your parents, how did that affect your desire to pursue this company and not after like a couple months kind of just drop it off and go to the next thing?
Yeah, well, a couple things there. One is, as Eric said, our mom opened a quilt store, essentially, selling fabric, quilts, and all this stuff out of our living room in like 1995. It's still going now. It's now like a 5,000 square foot business in a proper space, full staff, and it's like been named one of the top 10 in the country multiple times. So you see someone start something right literally in your living room, and then you see what it is today. And while it's awesome, it also, it doesn't necessarily phase you when you're trying to do your own thing. You just think, okay, I start here and I do that. The other thing is the brewery's not either one of our first small businesses either. I had a photography studio and photography business I've had since 2006. Eric's been in multiple businesses as well. So starting another business wasn't really an if, but when. It was just going to be, what is it going to be? And it happened to be a brewery.
Yeah, that's really cool. And do you want to kind of take us through the process of making that beer? How does that go?
So making beer is not the most simple thing, but also not the most complex. Basically, you're taking grain, crushing it up, and soaking it in hot water, and you're extracting all the sugar from grain. So you're making basically hot sugar water. Boil it up, add some hops. This is a very basic description, by the way. Add some hops, put it into a fermenter, introduce it to some yeast. The yeast eat the sugar. The byproduct of that is CO2 and alcohol. So the more sugar you start with, the higher the alcohol content you can end up with. And that's pretty much the 1 minute description of how to make beer.
How long does that process take?
About 2 weeks. So we'll brew a beer. Usually we brew beer every Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. We do 2 to 3 batches a week. And then the beer that we made those days is ready about 2 weeks later.
And then how long does that usually last you, depending on sales?
It can last anywhere from, depending on the style, the amount we made and all that, anywhere from, 4 days to 4 months. So just depends.
Usually you have a good gauge of how long you think it'll last?
Yeah. We specialize in hoppy beer like IPA and hazy IPA and all that. We'll do some that are bigger, a little higher alcohol with specialized hops, and I'll be like, this is going to come out on a Thursday, and by Monday it's going to be pretty much gone. So that's a good feeling. We have other ones that people ask us to make that are, more classic styles, and I'm like, man, I'll do it, but this is going to be on tap forever. So you just kind of have a balance there and pick and choose your battles. So we brew it all.
So what would you say, both of you guys can answer this, what would you say is the lemon that you turned into lemonade in your life, career, kind of just, throughout your journey?
we were actually talking about that on the way over here. It's one of those things that it's kind of a hard question to answer because I don't really think anything's ever been that much of a hardcore grind to turn into lemonade. It's a lot of times you just look at it and say, okay, what's the best outcome of this? What can I do? And so, I mean, looking at whether it's the brewery or other aspects of our life that we've done with it, I think it's always trying to take a positive and learn from it versus dwelling on it and then just sulking. Because I think a lot of people, when you start a company or want to be an entrepreneur, the thing that will just drag it down and kill your dream is really if you just sit there and think, okay, this only happened to me, it's only happened to me. Like when he started the brewery, it was interesting to me from other industries I've been in. He emailed top breweries in the country, people that he dreamed of meeting. Every single one of them almost responded. Awesome. And that's an industry thing. Like, so the industry that normally I'm in, people, I hate to say it, they root for your failure, but they do. And when I looked at the brewing industry, I'm like, these guys that have breweries that are producing, I mean, billion-dollar valuations are personally responding to these emails, wanting to succeed. Another brewery that he met flew out to help set up to teach cleaning processes, and that gentleman worked for another brewery that was gigantic. So, I mean, the thing that you look at in their industry is the amount of support that comes out to it. And so I'd say always embracing others and reaching out for support, even if you don't think anyone's going to answer. A lot of those times people will come and hope, because I mean, I think deep down most people want everyone to succeed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think to add to that, we weren't dealt there isn't some big lemon that started the whole thing. Right. There's a lot of little lemons along the way. So it's, as he said, those are the bumps in the road. They're the small lemons, and how do you make lemonade from each of those? It's not some big fiasco that started the whole thing. It's more of how do you deal with the small lemons along the way and keep making the lemonade.
Yeah, what inspires you guys to keep going through that adversity? Because I mean, when you're starting a business like you guys have, I mean, I'm sure you went through some crazy adversity with the 4 inches in the wall where you had to go back and kind of restart that.
I say this in all seriousness, but one is signing your personal property to a collateral on a loan. That'll keep you going. But outside of that, we've had success. I think one of the cool things about owning a brewery and a tap room is that we have customers we see every day, every week, every month. So it's the relationships we've made with them. So trying to keep those people happy and just adding to those relationships. Also, we've been lucky enough to win some pretty significant awards within the brewing industry. So it's chasing that. Right. We're both pretty competitive. So it's, you get a little taste of that. And it's like, all right, now we're going to try and win these this year. And being named a top 20 brewery in the U.S., trying to not fall out of that top 20. Right. So it's just the competitive nature of chasing that as well.
Do you want to answer that as well, Eric? Yeah.
I mean, I think for me, it's before I had jobs where, I mean, I was there from 6 a.m. till midnight, and I had to work 6 days a week. And then leaving that, becoming an entrepreneur for myself, it's December, and it's the 70-degree day in December, as my wife and I always say, the top 5 day of the year, and getting to go for a walk with your kids versus the industry I was in prior, working 6 days a week, seeing everyone miss every event of their kids, and just making your own schedule is what I think really draws you to that. Or I guess the dream of getting the opportunity to make your own schedule, because it doesn't always work out that. There's a lot of times where you also, I've seen my brother have to get up at 4 a.m. because someone was running on the roof of the brewery, turning off their refrigerant unit that controls all the tanks of their product. That did happen. Or just other things, someone breaking into your building. That's happened to me. So, I mean, there's just all things that then that responsibility falls on you or you're on vacation. But I think ultimately the opportunity for freedom of schedule.
Well, to kind of wrap it up here, we brought some lemonade for you guys to try. Dayspring lemonade. Here, you can pass that. Here you go. You might want to shake it up.
Yeah.
It's not beer, but...
Yeah, we won't shake up the beers unless we're celebrating.
See what you guys think.
It looks great. Could add this to a beer, make a shandy.
But you probably taste the watermelon in it.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah.
So,
good
deal. Thank you so much, guys, for joining us today and just giving all the insight that you've brought. And thank you for joining us today. We We can't wait to see you on another episode.